And I'm responsible for the Smart Cities Marketplace, on whose behalf we have one of our speakers. So let me start with the first slide. We always start with the first slide, which is not showing at the moment. Yeah, thank you. So session introduction, that's what I'm obviously doing right now. You see that we have 3 speakers today giving us an insight into the following. We have in the past funded a number of so-called lighthouse projects from Commission end, bringing together 120 cities in 18 or 20 actually lighthouse projects. And these lighthouse projects develop implementation plans. They demonstrate solutions in an integrated fashion across a number of lighthouse cities. And there is also a group of fellow cities following that process. So in a way, there are small, if you want, models for what we hope is going to happen in the whole of Europe. That is making literally all cities climate neutral by 2050. Now, you know, we have a very large and big legislative framework on the way, the Fit for 55 package. We also have the EU Green Deal, which is supposed to make Europe climate neutral by 2050, which is quite a bit of an ambition and a big task to do. And it's very evident already at this stage that we can do without the cities. And what we want to highlight today here is how actually projects like Making City, cities like Oulu, and the Smart Cities Marketplace can do to make that vision happening on the ground. So with no further ado, I would invite our first speaker, CECILIA SANZ Montalvillo, to the stage. And before I do that, sorry, I would also introduce to the other speakers. We also have from the city of Oulu, SAMULI RINNE, and we have from the Smart Cities Marketplace, our matchmaking coordinator, LUIGI PIPARO. And all 3 will give you different aspects of the storyline I was introducing just now. So very curious to hear from you, Cecilia, where all this starts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Georg, for introducing the Lighthouse project environment, what we want to do in our cities and what we plan to do in our cities. And now we will dip a little bit into the Making City project. Making City project is the first of the generation of Lighthouse project that introduced PET concept in the implementation. PET is a district that produces more energy than need, and it's able to export this energy to other parts of the city. So firstly reduce the consume and later provide this energy to the city. And we have tested this concept in our 2 lighthouse cities, Oulu and Groningen, and also we are designing these kind of interventions in the other follower cities. And also, we want to introduce, or we have introduced, this concept in the long-term city vision, including in the plans of the city and the energy plans and the urban plans for the cities, thinking in the long-term plans and also working with the SECAPs. And these aspects of the project in the cities are welcome by the cities involved in there. 2 are the lighthouse cities, Groningen and Oulu. More details about Oulu will be given by my colleague, SAMULI. But we have not only worked with these cities, we have worked with the rest of our lighthouse, our follower cities. We have creating tools for helping them to design their beds, for helping them to decide in which place of the city should these PETs implemented. And also, these tools are not only enabled by used by our cities, also by other cities that could be interested and could try or unless create the first designs, thinking about, okay, how my city could implement these solutions. We can see what our cities have done, and also we can try to do these works in other different cities. So all the information, of course, can be reached there, but now we are going to go deeper in the Oulu cases. So now my colleague SAMULI RINNE will introduce more about these questions in Oulu.
Yes, hello everybody, also on my behalf, and I'm telling about the designing of the PAD area, or actually the whole city vision for 2050. This is quite a point of view of engineer, so don't be scared. This is one way of thinking the issue. And the idea with these calculations and that kind of stuff, it's to convince that this is possible, as you see it here, to make cleanliness, that's self-clear, but it also must be affordable for the investors and for everybody, for the layman also, and reliability also self-clear. So the solutions are, as we heard, those of you who were in the morning here, of course the low consumption is the first point. So, I added something. The important is that we get low consumption during peaks, because they are the most difficult issues to handle, the very high consumption peaks, so just to avoid them. And for new buildings, they must be best A-class, of course, as intended in the EU level also. And I would also add that in Finnish case at least, the refurbishments, they make sense in the case that the building is in every case refurbished. So the energy refurbishment at the same time. That's the point. And when we have this low consumption, then after that we have clean production to fill the needed requirements. And what is this clean production? Well, of course, wind, solar, wind in Finland, Finnish case, of course, mostly, because sun is not shining that much in wintertime when we need energy. Biomass, it's for us, for Nordic countries. Then we have hydro, nuclear. Well, if it's considered to be clean, then if not, then not. But these for prime electricity, for example, we use electricity here. This is prime use. And what is left after this prime use is, I think, heating can be done with this. And actually there's that much waste heat in EU level that we can, as far as I know, we can cover the whole needs of European heat needs by just waste of excess power or excess heat. But the question is, what is the timing of the excesses, what is the temperature of the excess heat, and where they are situated? Well, district heating network for the placement issue is the solution, obviously, and we have heard about this earlier. So in our case, here is one demo house, and well, one number. The heat consumption is 1/4 of the older buildings, so that much we can do with new buildings. And sorry about this little bit messy-looking picture, but the idea is that you see there's a lot of, this is a district heating in the whole Finland aggregated as a one scenario I have made. And what you see, there's a lot of different heat sources, and that's the point. We have to have a diverse system when there's a multitude of energy sources, and we use them up to the current, for example, what is the power balance situation. When it's windy, we use electricity. When it's not windy, we use bio-CHP plants. That's the point in that. And actually, this is realizing right now. For example, in Oulu case, of course, we don't have power-to-X systems yet, but we will. And then this is what is happening also in smaller scale in our city. And then one point about affordability, the whole system, the price of heat, it's about the same. than currently. In summertime, it's very cheap, even with 10 euros, because you have plenty of energy available. In wintertime, the peaks, they may be more expensive, and they must be shaped in a way or not another. But we can handle them. So that's the system, the target. Then some little bit more messy pictures again, but there is in the x-axis, there is a different kind of heat levels. And in practice, this is what we have to cope with. So we have different kind of waste heat, how to upgrade it for usable heat, that's a question. And we can do it by heat pump. This is in one of our demo buildings. This is in technical space. There's a heat pump which actually uses district heating return water. And in power plant, we get better efficiency. That's the way it works. So you need a system thinking. And if you want to hear more about this, just ask me. Thank you.
Let's see. Thank you, Samuli. Can you hear me? Yeah. So I'm here now. I'm Luigi PIPARO from the Smart Cities Marketplace, where I coordinate the matchmaking. And I'm going to present you why it is relevant to have initiatives like the Smart Cities Marketplace to facilitate and accelerate and support the dissemination and the scaling up of initiatives like the ones that CECILIA and SAMULI have presented. So the Smart Cities Marketplace, first of all, is a repository of knowledge, applied knowledge. So it is possible to really harvest the huge amount of information we have archived on the website, which is freely available, and find basically already inspiring examples of how you can make your own city or a region, let's say, climate neutral and sustainable and inclusive. There is also a hub for shaping solutions, exchanging, learning from each other, and do so in an open space, dedicated space, which is basically the focus and discussion groups that there is now a call that the open that closes shortly, where basically different stakeholders, and you have seen the complexity, or imagine how complex it was for the city of Oulu to aggregate not only local authorities, but also energy utilities, grid operators, private property developers probably, building owners and the tenants and so on, in a single space to achieve these results. And then we have a matchmaking process. Matchmaking is a demand-driven service that is very flexible, and in positive energy districts, as you know, given the myriad of stakeholders involved and the myriad of differences and the myriad of energy systems that needs to be transitioned towards the net zero, then this is, I think, key also, as it is one of the functions embedded in the shared definition of a positive energy district, this flexibility. So the Smart Cities Marketplace, first of all, is an initiative that listens and captures your needs and then responds to you in a way that to facilitate the shaping, the filling of gaps, the shaping of your project investment project ideas, giving you access to a network of investors that can cover basically all possible financing and funding products and all possible sizes of tickets in all possible geographies. You can also obviously learn from each other. We have free of charge technical assistance services that is deployed in eligible cases on site, speaking the local language, and this we have identified as being one of the real added value that the Smart Cities Marketplace can provide to all of you. So, in other words, there is room for helping you addressing the legal gaps that are locking your potential and the evolution of your projects or the shaping of your projects, there is technical knowledge that can be made accessible to you in different forms. Also from the financial aspect, as I mentioned, with the support to make your ideas reaching an investment grade status, and then governance-related support as well if you don't have the critical mass that is necessary to, for instance, negotiate convenient terms of a financing solution. How and who can apply to the services of the Smart Cities Marketplace? Mainly cities and city-led consortia from EU member states, but also from countries associated to the associated countries that are eligible to the Horizon Europe program. And then in consortia, obviously also with obviously a city endorsing the project, businesses, SMEs, project developers, technical developers, and even investors. Investors because, and I think this is relevant to stress it today, we have in the investor network now 18 accredited entities, public and private, and not only they have a sort of a traditional desk approach, like they wait for your demand to be received and then they process it, but in some cases they have supporting services for you and like to engage in the project early on to help you shape, for instance, the business model. So this is, I think, enough for now, just to tease you a little, and then I thank you for the attention and I give the floor back to Georg.
Yeah, thank you. So I try to summarize a bit what we heard, and then I suggest we go straight ahead into the Q&A. Now, we heard, or we had a very quick glance as what Making City is about, which is not fair, actually, because the whole project does a whole lot of things, which also entails, or actually has as a prerequisite, stakeholder engagement, making it inclusive, integrated, and so on. So pretty much the things you mentioned before actually the project can start and before it can actually be submitted for funding and so on. So there's a whole lot more to it. We heard about the technical aspects, the engineers' concerns, if I may say so, but also these are equally important because it takes the whole journey. If you want to make projects viable and successful, of course you need to translate the concerns, the challenges, the vision, what you have in mind with a project in a way that citizens can subscribe to it and support it. So again, the engagement factor here, translating the technical parts of the project in a way that everybody can subscribe to it and understand it is very important. And that brings me to the last presentation by Luigi PIPARO, who was speaking also about that. So when we talk about making projects possible, implementing them on the ground, making them fit for finance, if you want, then it is absolutely essential that everybody integrated and taking part in the process actually understands what this is about, including the citizens who are in the best case the best case scenario, of course, supporting the entirety of the project. So with that, I would like to open the floor to you because you might have questions. I have some spare questions here, but I actually don't want to use them. So it would be much nicer if you ask us some questions, also nasty ones. I would encourage you to do so. And so we see where we get. So who wants to break the ice? You, sir.
I have two. So thank you very much for the insight and the introduction. So maybe for the engineer, because I'm coming from the same discipline and we are doing the same exercise now with positive energy district and other projects. Since we understand positive energy district as a driver towards climate neutral cities, what are the most challenging aspects you face now in the implementation to achieve at the end this positive energy balance at annual scale? Can you share some of this knowledge that would be very, very interesting for the community to understand how this setting is functioning in the reality?
Yep. Is it on? Perhaps. Yeah. Perhaps the most challenging is that it needs kind of a long-sighted thinking. The payback times may be quite long for many. So that may be the major barrier, and you have to convince people by some, I think, that by something trustworthy scenario, that this is possible, this can be done, but you just have to do this and that. Actually, we are quite well off with that, so we are in good speed. And also, currently there may be a problem with, for example, wind power investments, which are in the background. That there's a little bit chicken and egg problem, that there are not highly electricity-consuming power to express these hydrogen, for example, to make the investments more profitable, wind power investments or other power production. So let's see how to manage that. But I think, in my opinion, also for that, good scenarios are one key for that. I don't know if that was kind of an answer.
The flexibilization options, but that is our concern now. How does it function at the district scale so that the energy system is interacting with the neighborhood energy system? So when I think about vehicle to X storage facilities, load shifting and so on, how those things in the reality, because you show us something about the heat, but the same issue we have at the power sector.
So of course those investments in making city projects, EU help is of advantage, and also the local companies, they have taken some risk in that, so respect for them. For example, the rental housing company in Oulu and Oulu Energy, they have taken their own risk a bit. So there must be always some kind of risk taking to moderate amount.
Is this working? This. Okay. So we learned a bit about the technical nitty-gritty, but you also mentioned already something which is very, very relevant for our matchmakers. You spoke about long-term investment, you spoke about return on investment, these kinds of things. And you actually relate to something which I was trying to get across as well, and that is that every single participant in the project needs to understand what the project actually does or what it is about and what's the vision and so on. So if you speak about these financial terms, that shows that you're not strictly sticking to your engineering perspective, but you also understand, as a matter of fact, that what you do has also an implication on the actual risk taken by investors and by local companies. Maybe a question from my end, possibly first to CECILIA. When it comes to local companies, because we are today mostly speaking about cities, and we feel, of course, that local companies can, in some cases, bring the innovation bit to the project. So what is your experience with that specific part, and is it deciding on the go or no go for a project, or is it nice to have that innovative bit in the project? What would you see in terms of the role of companies here?
Maybe here, I don't know. Use? Yeah, okay, sorry. My experience with the local companies, maybe more in Making City, I have seen different experiences or different feeling depending on the support of the municipality, or if they felt that, okay, it's a risk for them, but we are here if something's wrong. And it's good for them to have this support. But maybe thinking in other issues in the past, not quite linked with pets, but also with city interventions, I think it depends on the background they have in the kind of interventions. If they are used to have risk and they are used to convince citizens. They go deep in these solutions, and they like these things because after the interventions, they have felt the profit on doing it and are the first in the market, in the local market, doing it. So it's a very good step for them for the next implementation. So it's easier for those that are used for, maybe not in this world, but something risky for them. They can see the benefit of doing this risk because for the future it's better for them.
So there is risk is also one of the keywords. I'm looking already at Luigi. So risk is certainly something which is always present in projects. You don't have a project which is just, a piece of cake. You always have to look at risks. And what I found interesting of what you say is that there is not the either-or question, like if companies feel there's a risk, they don't do it at all, but they try matching the risk with the actual benefit they receive. So there is a role for companies, but I also read from what you say that cities are in the driving seat and they act as moderators of the process. So they help also companies to understand the risk better, right? Okay. I would, before handing over to you, Luigi, I wanted to check whether there's possibly another question from the audience. Because you wanted to make it interactive. So don't worry, just go ahead. There's no wrong question. Here we go, the lady over there.
Yes, thank you. So Victoria Zarano from BPIE. We work on 2 Horizon 2020 projects on positive energy neighborhoods. There are many other initiatives in this sense, and there are around 38 different terms to define roughly what we refer to as positive energy districts, and there are new ones popping up every day with a new project. And there is this goal of the European Commission to set up 100 pads by 2025. So my question is, how do you define if we achieve this goal, if we don't have a definition of what is a pad? And if there is any initiative to define, to have a harmonized definition, maybe not really benchmarking, because I understand that every neighborhood is very different. It's difficult to standardize because the local context and the municipality goals maybe are very different, and the starting points are also different. But can we at least have a set of KPIs or criteria or ways to define it as we have for NZEB buildings or ZEB buildings? And and the second question, maybe ideally, maybe these KPIs, as there was a session before on green mortgages that are EU taxonomy compliant. So if some buildings go beyond NZEB and they are sustainable in many other social and environmental goals that are under the EU taxonomy, maybe we can have a similar approach for pads also, to incentivize a bit the ESG finance and the private investment. We need a way to prove that these projects are sustainable from the social and environmental way, and we need a standardized way that both finance and construction industry will be aligned and will know which things they have to quantify in which way and how to prove.
Thank you. So I would first try to answer these 2 questions. Your question is it related?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's completely related. Hi, my name is Václav. We also have been doing some positive energy district projects. And I would maybe add a time dimension. What do you think is a feasible time scale for being energy positive? Is it energy positive on a yearly basis, on monthly basis, weekly or daily basis? Because that's very important, I think, for this concept as well. Thanks.
Okay, so we have 3 questions. I will try to answer them first, and then we ask for more questions. So first question, PED definition. That's a nasty one. There is work ongoing on the PED definition. There is, for example, the Driving Urban Transitions Partnership, of which I'm not in charge. So that is colleagues from DGRTD are dealing with it. But there was also the previous Urban Europe JPI working especially on that definition. There is also, I might say, we have people in the room which were contributing to that work on the definition. So I understand this definition work is still ongoing, simply because of the things you mentioned, changing settings, both legally but also locally. That is, the preconditions are very, very different depending on the geography, depending on the size of the project possibly, and so on. So that's very clear. I do unfortunately not have a final answer to that question, but my understanding is that the work on a somewhat more generic, let's call it generic or omnivalent definition is ongoing, but I would guess that this definition would actually not be fit for all purposes. So I think in any case, also when it comes to financing, to implementing a project, you have to look at the local circumstances. Second question, incentivizing. Yes, that's exactly what we try to do. Incentivizing green action, if you want, or becoming climate neutral, because I think we all in this room are in a way together in this. By 2050, the plan is to become climate neutral in Europe as a continent. So we, all of us, more or less, all of us contribute to that, more or less. But this incentivizing bit you mentioned, taxonomy also to be mentioned in that context, is also something I would possibly want to hand over to Luigi. And the third question, 1 second. And the third question was about looking at the positive energy aggregation, if you want, on a monthly, weekly, or yearly base. What is the standard, for example, being used in making city? And maybe we start with that simple engineering question and then hand over to Luigi for the incentivizing bit.
Yeah, about the PET definition, I would say that it's quite unknown in Finland for lay people, so it must not be used too excessively. But if you talk about autonomous areas or regions, as in our case, in real world, it's more a PET region than PET building blocks. So, and then people understand, or to avoid imports of energy. That is the language they understand. And for the question about the suitable time frame, I would say that larger number of buildings you have, the longer the time span. Actually, I have no proof for that. That's an intuition about the issue. Because then if you have a larger system, then you have a lot of diverse energy sources, and then you have something play there. So that's my...
So it's really much about also the trends. If you have many buildings, it doesn't help if you look hourly or weekly, because then you get figures which might even point in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah, and of course the energy supply must be always there every hour, every second. So that's...
So but from your experience, would you say that a yearly base is something, is a good starting point when it comes to the time frame?
Yeah, but then in the real world you have to be much more exact in hourly level, perhaps.
So again, also no final answer. It's basically at the fingertips of those implementing the project. And with that, I would give the floor to Luigi, finally. There was this incentivizing bit and taxonomy.
Thank you.
Any ideas from the financing end of things?
Yes. So, I mean, human species is very creative. So we like to find ways that and names to things so that they mean something to us. So obviously, the positive energy district concept is evolutive. It comes from the energy district labs before, and it is probably going to evolve into positive energy regions and even countries. I mean, that's it should not be considered as a constraining straitjacket, but rather as an approach, which is obviously based on the use on the reliance on renewable energy is only for energy production. Then the second, I think, function, which is key also in the set plan, there is a definition in the joint programming initiative of Urban Europe. There were other definitions, so there is a definition in reality. It says also that the energy efficiency function must be a priority. And then the last principle, if I remember correctly, was about flexibility, as I mentioned before, so that the positive energy district should be acting in a way that is optimally beneficial for the energy system. And that where the complexity comes is exactly there as well, because you need to tailor. I mentioned also in my presentation the myriad of stakeholders possibly to be involved. We know all the renewables are different, depending on geography, on technology, and so on, and this all is very dynamic. So risk is associated to everything. When it comes to access to financing and funding, and this also has a tentative reply to the question on the timing, how long it takes to get there. It depends also on how the risking process is in place and possible. And this depends very much on the local and regional and national situation. There is a governance aspect. One of the barriers is fragmented competencies between the relevant levels. Cities are at the center, businesses are key, but then there are a lot of efforts is ongoing, also with the support of the European Union. But this is an overall understanding, I think, that, and science tells us this as well, that the scale and the speed of this transition are not happening at the right level. There is a need for an acceleration. The Smart Cities Marketplace is there as an offer to provide support for accelerating exactly these aspects, finding tailor-made solutions for de-risking, a business model, helping a local authority to understand, among the many, when there are many, technological options, which is the one that may work best for them with the sort of a feasibility study. There are also other initiatives that do that, but we do it for free also on site in some particular circumstances. Learning from others. We have booklets on positive energy districts. We have hundreds of examples of projects, including in obviously the Making City one. Then there are other ones from Portugal, Bilbao, for instance, with an integration of geothermal ring as a renewable source. In Amsterdam for photovoltaic production, another useful example. So large city, but also we have smaller cities. Trondheim, in the framework of the city exchange project, if I remember correctly, they also developed a way to extract heating from the fjord, and then with some heat pumps from commercial warehouses find also interesting solutions. So you see, there is not the recipe, but there is the willingness to transition towards net zero, and then a convergence of factors, support coming from the private sector, with technological solutions and innovation, financing inputs, and obviously consistency and long-term design. As in love, you need a shared vision of the future in your community to engage successfully in such a project, I think.
Thank you, Luigi. Yes, on the taxonomy, that has not been answered. Yeah, but let's say, especially when looking at the PED concept, it ticks a few boxes. So it's not just one single thing you look at. As Luigi rightly mentioned, there is possibly a catalogue of solutions which you can include in the positive energy district approach. On the heating end, it can be waste energy heat or something else. No? So it's really the local context which decides what solution shall be picked. And that's actually where the marketplace, with the help, of course, of our Lighthouse City community, of our project community, of the experts from that group, but also from other projects in Europe, help really bringing that to the surface, to the fingertips of those who are looking for clues. I should maybe mention at this point also that the marketplace is sort of, if you want, the end of a spectrum, or the end of a journey which cities can take or can use or consider. We should also not forget that this event has a title including the Covenant of Mayors. So when I look at my fellow participants here, they all have started their journey, since we asked for it, with the SECAP, Sustainable Energy, Climate and Action Plan. So having a plan, or better start with a vision, which is supported locally, put that into a planning, that's the first point you should really tackle or think about. Covenant is there to help you with that. Next step then is, what parts of this plan shall be implemented by when? And putting it in a frame, we would have, for example, also the EU City facility helping you with creating a plan around, in this case, mainly energy efficiency measures and so on. Once you have created a technical and implementation plan with financing, de-risking bits and pieces, you approach the marketplace, and LUIGI and colleagues will help you to get you over the last mile. So it's really a journey. We have also a few examples. I don't know, LUIGI, you didn't show the slide with the figures. It is working, so it's nothing we market here just because it's so nice. Since 2018, when we started the matchmaking process on the marketplace, we have matched roughly 130 projects with investments at the magnitude of more than 615 million euro. This is more, and I'm sorry to say that, this is more than actually went in terms of funding into the entire Lighthouse program. Just to give you a bit of a flavor that things are possible, and that we would basically invite you to take the opportunity to look at the services, use them, make up your mind. We also have an online community and so on. But before I end up in talking you to death on the details of the marketplace, is there any further questions? Okay, so that means that all is neat and clear. Do you want to add something?
How many representatives of cities are here with us today? If you can kindly raise your hand.
Don't be shy.
And, okay, one, I see one. I don't see very well in the back because I don't have my sunglasses. Okay, a few, thanks. Can you please tell us which part of, which cities you come from? Sorry? Ah, Brussels, okay. Brussels, so thank you for welcoming us. And from the back, if you can kindly also maybe shout a little. A city in? Albania, okay, welcome. Okay, lovely. And
marketplace.
If you can kindly maybe repeat your question.
I don't know if you have information or not, but I have an email about an event organized here in Brussels on 15 November, organized from TÜBİTAK from Turkey. It's in this platform, Matchmaking.
Not to my knowledge, but I mean,
okay, no problem.
Happy to be informed about it.
I'm planning
there is a lot.
to apply. Is about the idea is to have a project proposal and then to get access or to get attending. I will apply and I will prepare my project idea.
We try to cover a lot of ground, but that event also doesn't ring a bell for me. I'm sorry. So I don't know what
okay,
event.
it's about information event about Horizon 2020?
Well, that can be. That is then organized by the respective colleagues, introducing to the calls for proposals. I do not have the details on that specific event. I'm sorry.
I have the email, it's a simple question. I have all the information, but matchmaking for me, it is okay through the platform Smart and City Marketplace. I have done it, B2B meetings is organized in this platform. Okay.
Yeah.
I can have it online. Also, I had it, one time I had it online, not only on site.
I don't know whether I get your question right, but the marketplace is offering that forum exactly to organize. We organize a financing masterclass, so you can actually ask your questions specifically on how to finance certain solutions or certain projects. We have our regular events. The next one will be in Barcelona from 7 to 9 November. We'll be there. So we have our regular online events, meetings, and so on, where you can actually get involved, ask questions. And of course, you have all the online resources to help you. But on that specific info day you possibly mentioned, I have no information, I'm sorry. And I guess Luigi...
Okay, no.
If you want after the event, you can look for me, I'll be here. And I will be available, yes.
I will show you.
Happy to help you. And anyone else would have any questions. Maybe just
Thank
one
you.
other... Thank you. And
I got a subtle sign that we need to come to an end. So who has maybe a final question? That's then the last one, please.
Hi, my name is Jolijn, and I was just wondering, maybe it's going a bit in depth on the project again, but energy efficiency first and matchmaking in the heat demand, that was a key question. And how do you deal within such a city project with the investments that need to be done by the individual homeowners, considering energy savings? Because investment in the heating district, and that's really important, and also a very difficult question, and how to organize it. But then you have to connect to the home, and the home has to be able to be low efficient. So how do you deal with that?
Who wants? Cecilia or?
Maybe if you want, you can answer through Oulu. Maybe I can put some skills that I've seen in Groningen, that is another lighthouse city. So first, you.
Yeah, in Oulu, or actually in Finland, there's a quite strict legislation for new buildings about energy efficiency. And in a city, we have different kind of programs, which actually they may not reducing energy consumption, but what I didn't say is it is important to prevent it from increasing. So that's, for example, in traffic and so on. So that's the way we have our interventions.
Yeah. In Groningen, they have the other lighthouse city in MEng city have split their intervention or the way to proceed to the private owners. Firstly, with a very huge engaging activities for the people. Also linking with energy poverty and the social aspects. They are used or they want to use part of this positive energy district for decreasing the energy poverty in specific neighborhoods and granting from the municipality the interventions, the first interventions of the owners. Maybe they have started in the district, 3 houses was included in MEng city and funded through it. The next step would be a kind of softer grant, not so much as MEng city, but as they have tested different solutions in the houses, now they have a starting point and put the grant on it. And later involving the energy cooperative that also help the investment to the owners. So different steps.
So I need to cut off here, really, because otherwise I'm in trouble. So that would open another door, replication, but that's possibly enough for another session. So I would like to thank my fellow participants, my fellow panelists here. Please spend them a warm applause. And yes, and I hope it has given you some insight, some ideas, some inspiration. If you have further questions, do not hesitate to approach us at the respective stands. And of course, you may approach the speakers, I guess, by email or simply sending an email to the marketplace, and we can then connect you if you have further questions. Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks for coming and joining us. Thank you.